audience. So welcome everybody. So good to see all of you. And we thank you so much for joining us. I know we're going to have some people joining as we go along. We do want to honor your time. It is a little after 6, but we want to make sure that those that are just joining us get an opportunity to settle in. We've got a lot of great information for you here this evening. We've got our outstanding teaching staff that are going to share with you particular aspects of their programs this evening. And we are super excited that you're here. So thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us here at the Northeast Campus. My name is Paul Galbinski. I'm the dean here at the campus, and we're going to be going through the presentation. I'll kind of act as the host. You're going to hear from multiple presenters. The stars of tonight's show will be our instructors as they highlight their programs. And obviously, we're very fortunate that you're joining us here as well. And we hope that many of the students that are here with us tonight will pick up some great knowledge and ultimately say, yep, I want to head over to the campus. How do we do that? And Mr. Maddock will talk with you on about that. I know our audience is of students, some 8th, 9th, 10th graders, maybe some 11th graders that have joined us. So welcome to all to our career night virtually. We would love to have you all on campus, but circumstances as we are right now don't allow for that. But we are thrilled that you're here with us this evening to learn more about the technical campus and in particular, 3 programs that we are highlighting. Again, I just want to remind you, if you just joined us, please in the chat box, click on the link and sign in for tonight's career night. And I'm going to now go ahead and share my screen and we'll begin the presentation. If you do have questions through the evening, feel free to put them into the chat box. It is designed tonight that at the end of this presentation, we will be able to take and answer the questions that you may have. So again, welcome to the campus. Mr. Maddock's going to move us through the presentation. And I want to just talk to all of the parents and students. So what is career and technical education? Well, career and technical education is combining strong academic knowledge with technical skills. And when you combine those two, you definitely have a competitive advantage in the future. What this is, in terms of career and technical education, or CTE, it's an extension of your high school, and it prepares you for high demand, high skill, high wage careers, which you're going to learn about tonight, whether it's cybersecurity, networking, computer programming, or engineering, robotics, and mechatronics. So with that, what's the winning equation, right? OSTC and the winning equation. Here's how we put that together. You take the academics that you're learning at your respective high schools. You're going to marry those, add them to the technical skills from career and technical education. You put that formula together, and that is definitely the competitive advantage. What that does is put you one step above or multiple steps above potential people that you may be competing with out in the job market. And then you will have all of those credentials and that competitive advantage as you leave the campus and then move on to pursue the career that you would like to spend time in. One of the things that we'd like to share with you, this is a quote from Kettering University. You know, a lot of times people want to understand, well, what options when we're here at the campus? Well, we can go directly into the workforce. We can go to a specialized trade school. We can go to a 2-year community college. We can go to a 4-year university. We can go into apprenticeship program. We can go into technical early college. And this is one of the quotes that we have, which is the assistant director of admissions at Kettering University. So I think one of the ideas here is it absolutely helps that a student coming in to Kettering with the background information that they've gained here from the campus, that competitive advantage, that certainly then builds a strong basis for the students as they move forward. So you can see the quote that is in there, and it applies to a lot of our programming of what we would have here at the campus. But what it does is it gives you that competitive advantage. And this is an assistant director of admissions, look very favorably of students coming out of the campuses to move on to their post-secondary learning. So there's 4 technical campuses in Oakland County. The one that you are tuned in tonight, right? We're coming to you live from the Northeast campus. That's the Pontiac campus. There's one in Clarkston, which is the Northwest campus, one in Royal Oak, Southeast campus, and one in Wixom. These 4 campuses are designed and built to deliver career and technical education for juniors and seniors. And as we do career and technical education across the county, many times some of the programming you might have at your home high school then is a great foundation to come here to the technical campus and explore, in this case, interest you may have in cybersecurity networking, computer programming, or engineering, robotics, and mechatronics. So this is what's available for the students. I'm going to turn this over now to Mr. Maddock, and he's going to lead you through the next part of the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Randy Maddock. I'm the counselor at the Northeast campus. I want to go back just a couple of slides to this Kettering University. We always have students that go to Kettering University, but we actually just recently, timing was perfect, actually heard from one of our computer programming students. His name was Adam, just graduated in 2020, ended up with a $25,000 scholarship to go to Kettering, but he actually just reached out to Mrs. Heiduck recently and told her that it was his Java computer class that really helped him get through his first computer class at Kettering. And he'd ended up, he told us that about half of the class had to drop that, but that it was the background that he'd gotten at the technical campus that really helped him be successful in that first computer class at Kettering. So timing was actually perfect to hear from Adam. These are the 12 programs that are available at the Northeast campus. I know all of you are here tonight to learn about our computer programming, our cybersecurity networking, and our engineering, robotics, and mechatronics programs. However, these are the other 9 programs that we do offer: automotive technology, collision repair and refinishing, construction technology, cosmetology, culinary arts and hospitality, entrepreneurship, advanced marketing, health sciences, machining, and welding. So after tonight, if you are interested in learning about any of those other programs that are available, Mr. Galbinski and I will be here live every Thursday night, with the exception of Thanksgiving. By this time, we'll probably be sound asleep on our couches. But every Thursday night, we'll be highlighting different programs to help students and parents make informed decisions about their son or daughter's future. But again, tonight we're going to focus on computer programming, cybersecurity networking, and engineering, robotics, and mechatronics.
You take a look at what's on the screen right now. These are our career trees, and every single one of our programs has a career tree. And there's a strong root system down there that looks at the academics, the experiences, professional skills. Passion is huge as you are building that root system, but take a look at the different levels that are there. The careers that you can move into right out of completing the program. You can see there's a programmer's associate, applications developer, web developer. Now, how do you get to the next level? Well, the key is, and I know a lot of our students, video gamers, you want to unlock that next level. How do you unlock that next level? It's with further education. And so when you move to the technical careers, you can see what might be an apprenticeship, associate degree, advanced certifications. You can be a Java developer, a programming software engineer, data modeler. Those are some samples of what can happen. And obviously the next level that you unlock, moving to a bachelor's, maybe a master's degree, specialized training, the professional careers, a database architect, a systems analyst, a software developer engineer. Those are career trees that our students work with and sets them up. Where would they like to see themselves? And our instructors are like, great, where do you want to be? I'll help you get there. And so I want to now introduce our first instructor, Mrs. Norma Heiduck, our computer programming instructor, and she is going to talk specifically about computer programming and the availability and wonderful options that you have here at the technical campus.
Hi, my name is Norma Heiduck. I am the computer teacher here at the Northeast campus. I have been teaching here for 16, 17 years. I tend to forget. Prior to coming here, however, I did work in industry for 15, 16 years as well. I worked at GM. Well, I actually worked for EDS, but GM was my customer, and I designed a lot of systems there, mainly everything to do with the warranty system. And I actually did the dealer mechanized application processing system as well. So when you go into a dealership and you put in your application, I was one of the first ones to start to develop that. So that was kind of cool to be on the forefront. So when your son or daughter decides to come to computer programming, we focus on a few things. Game design is a big thing for students, so we teach them the power to be able to do game design and also mobile applications and intelligent transportation systems. I like to say that it doesn't matter what career you go into, especially the ones that you see here tonight, your son or daughter will have to have some sort of basis for programming. In cybersecurity, they're going to have to program. If you go over to the mechatronic world and you're an electrical engineer or you're a mechanical engineer, they will have to learn a programming language. It's just part of the whole overall structure. My son just graduated from Kettering University, and he did have to learn how to take programming, and he does program every single day in his job as an electrical engineer now. We use complex and problem solve with current problems that are that are out there in the real world. When I do my exercises here, last year we actually did an application that dealt with the ecosystem, and if animals are removed from an ecosystem, how does that impact, or the ecosystem in a whole? And if you introduce a new animal, how will that impact the ecosystem? So that's what we coded. So I try to find programs that are new and different every single year. We have 3 main focuses here: Java, HTML, and CSS kind of goes with HTML. Certifications that your son or daughter can get while they're here. The first year, I do a two-year rotation. The first year in computer programming, I may be focusing on HTML. We have MTA certifications that they can get, and we have the higher one, the HTML CIW and the JavaScript CIW. If your son or daughter achieves the HTML CIW certifications, then they're able to exempt out of OCC classes. So that's 4 certifications in that area. Moving on to Java, it is a hierarchy there as well. We start off with the MTA, and then the Oracle Foundations Associate. We also have that one. If your son or daughter passes that, they don't have to take a Java class at the OCC. It passes there. Those tests are all provided for you. We pay for everything. The Oracle Foundations Associates test alone cost about $150. So now I want to kind of do a presentation of one of the projects that we did in my class. This was Yahtzee last year. My student, Mary Holt, created this project. So this is actually her code. So let me move over to, I got to stop this, escape out of that, and get over to my code. Here's the code that Mary created. You'll see that there are 4 different objects out there: the dice, the card, the main driver of the program, and a frame set that she has out there. So when we go, I teach them all about how to create these objects, how to use effective, you can tell by the naming conventions that she has here, that follows my naming convention rules that is used in industry today. So let me run it so you guys can see it. So this is the Yahtzee program. The first thing you do is you choose a number of players. So obviously she decided to use the dice for the people to select. That's an option. So I'm just going to pick 1 since I'm by myself. And the system automatically rolled the dice for us and put the numbers on there. So let's pick 5 so we can sound, maybe we'll get lots of them. So I'm going to roll again. Oops, I got more 5s and I got a Yahtzee that couldn't have been any better.
Yahtzee!
I got a Yahtzee. That's so funny. So I got a Yahtzee. It comes out on the scorecard just like normal. You hit the little Yahtzee button down here because that's what I want to take. So I'm going to hit my Yahtzee. It checks to make sure that I actually have a Yahtzee so I can't cheat. And then it will say, do you want 50 points for this Yahtzee? And I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to go on and it rolled it again. And I'm going to look at here. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my God, I got a small straight already. And so I'm going to roll again just to see if I can get a large straight. There's my second roll. You can see the little X's up there, and go one more time. And I did not get a large straight, but I know I got a small straight. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. It's going to give me 30 points. Notice that the 50 points down here for the Yahtzee got recorded, and I get my other 30. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this that I would have, if we would have had time, but we ran out of COVID, I personally would have, from a user perspective, would want to see the score sheet filled out before I move back to rolling the dice. So if we were going to do some process improvement in that, that's probably what I would have done with her. The other thing that we spend a lot of time doing is I teach them how to go inside the memory of the computer so that they can actually see it. Not sure why I'm getting drawings all over my screen, but they actually pop into memory, see it all. This is what's going on and the variables that are out there and the values that are currently in there. So I teach them how to debug just like I would expect a junior programmer in industry to do.
Thanks, Mrs. Hyduck. So again, Mrs. Hyduck's focus is on computer programming, the Java, the HTML, the CS3. The one thing we always tell students, and you saw it, it is not a click and drag class. It's not that type of programming. Students are spending time writing code.
One more thing, Randy, before we move on. It is not unusual for a student to spend a year with me and then a year with going over to Mechatronics or Mr. Teller's world as well. Mary Holt is an example of that. She spent a year with me doing Java, and then she's now over with Mr. Teller so that she can get some of the cyber experience. So it is an option to stay with me for only a year if you so choose, and then go explore the other clusters to try to make sure you have that, depending on what particular field that you want to enter into, you can move into both areas.
So you can see another career tree that's focusing on the Cybersecurity Networking program. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and let Mr. Teller, who's the Cybersecurity Networking teacher, take over the controls, and he can share his screens. Mr. Teller.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, first check basic things. You can hear me, yes?
We hear you.
Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to try something a little bit different tonight. Hopefully you can all see the cybersecurity networking slide here. I'm going to give you a brief introduction, and then normally when I do a presentation like this, I do everything before we start. I take screenshots and I present you with that. But I decided to kind of throw caution out the window this evening, and we are going to do a live check on a network in real time and try to see what happens. I don't know how it's going to go, but I think it's going to be fun. So we'll explore together here. So my name's Keith Teller. I've been doing something computer related for right around 30 years. I started in 1990. I've been teaching for 18. I've done a little bit of everything. I really enjoy the job because it was really something that I did as a hobby, and I turned it into a career. And I think that's really cool when you can do that. Something I used to do for free, and now I get paid, but don't tell Mr. Galbinski that because you might not get my paycheck. So this is what we're going to try here. All of you probably on a daily basis use a network. You may not know or think about it very much, but if you're on your computer, you're using a network, you're on your cell phone, you're on your iPad, and you don't think a whole lot about it, but I'm going to show you some of the things that are happening behind the scenes on the network. And I'm going to begin by bringing up a utility. This utility is called Wireshark. It's a great tool that we use in the cyber world. And what it does is it is going to show everything coming into my computer from the network, going out of my computer from the network. I've got a number of different connections here, but I'm going to start. You see one of them here says Ethernet. That's my traditional standard wired in cable on my computer. I'm going to go ahead and start this up. And you're going to see a whole lot of stuff happening here, scrolling by. And I would like to point out, I am literally doing nothing, okay? This is just all stuff happening on the network, kind of behind our backs. and I'm going to let it go for a few more seconds, and then I'm going to stop it. All right, I'll go ahead and I stopped. And now let's take a look at what this tool is called. Technically it's a network packet analyzer. You'll hear most techies refer to it as a sniffer. That's the colloquial sort of slang term for it, because you can think of a bloodhound sniffing, looking for clues, and that's what this is here. So I'm going to point out a couple of stats here that might be interesting. So I'm going to go way up to the top, and there are numbers associated with each of the transactions. You'll see a time, you'll see a source, which means where did the info come from, and a destination, where did it go to, and then it'll talk about protocols. Protocols are important because they're little rule sets for how things work on networks. And there are many, many, many of them. We're going to see a couple of them tonight. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to show something. Now remember, I'm not doing anything, and I let it run for 21 seconds. Maybe I hope you can see that on the bottom there. And there were over 8,182 transactions in that period of time. That's a lot. Now, a good deal of it has to do with the fact that we're on a call, but realistically, you go to any corporate network, any school network, during that time period, you're probably going to get 2,000, 3,000. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. And what's interesting is that every one of these transactions is a potential place for a bad actor to get in there and do something to you that you don't want. So let's try something else that you've probably all done. I hope you've all done it. We're going to talk a little bit about web browsing. All right. So I'm going to bring up my web browser here. You've all gone to Google before, right? And you've done searches on Google. When you use a web browser, we talked about protocols, and there's a protocol called, if you look up here in the top, you'll see the letters HTTP. Okay. It's very common. Maybe never noticed it before, but this stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's how we get web pages. The S is very important too. That means secure, okay? That means that it's encrypted. So let's capture a little bit of that traffic. So I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm gonna start a new capture with the Wireshark tool. I'm gonna say continue. All right, so now it's capturing, and I'm gonna jump back to my web browser here, and I am going to, let's do a Google search. Let's say I want to see some cute kittens tonight. So I'll get pictures of cute kittens. And then maybe I want to go shopping. So I will go to Target. And then I'm looking for some information on a career. So I'm going to go to the U.S. Government Bureau of Labor and Statistics. All right. So I brought up 3 web pages, and I'm going to stop. So let's take a look at our stats this time. This time I was at 29 seconds, so a little bit longer, but you can see there's over 19,000 different transactions. Now here's what's interesting. I talked about HTTP. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I was trying to bring up that one. All of these say HTTP. I'm going to point out the 3 that I've got here. HTTPS, Target also, HTTPS, Google with the S. The S is important because without it, everything is clear. I'm going to actually try to get rid of this. I'm going to delete the S and see what Google does. Google says, no way, we are going to encrypt this. So even if you want to try to get around it, you can't. That's a safety thing, and that's good. Not all websites are encrypted, which we're going to see in a second, but a lot of them are. So if I go in here, I can actually take, so I've got 19,000 packets. I don't want to look through all of those. So I'm going to filter a little bit. I'll say HTTP. Okay, I'm just going to look for HTTP traffic, and we'll apply that, and we'll take a moment here. And peculiarly, you see that there is none. There is none at all. There's a reason for that. Because it's encrypted, Wireshark doesn't know that it's HTTP. Probably going to see it as, let's see if I can get this to go, TLS. There we go. Those are your encrypted packets. TLS stands for Transport Layer Security. So even though bad guys can get in here, this makes it a lot tougher. But this is a standard web page that is encrypted. So that's good. However, I'll show you the next thing. Let's clear this out, and I'll bring up, I'm going to close those ones I just did. Now, actually, in today's world, it's actually a little bit tricky to even find web pages that are not encrypted. But I preloaded a few so you guys can see. This is a restaurant near my house. They sell Upper Peninsula pasties. This is it's called Shopify. Now, how do I know that these are not encrypted? Well, you can look up here and you see the little tiny lock with a line through it. So this is not a locked website. By the way, every browser is going to do that a little different. I can show you real quickly here too. I like Mozilla Firefox. I'll take that same one from the restaurant and I'll copy it and I'll put it into Microsoft's browser, which is Edge, and run it there. And you see they just say the words not secure right there in the corner. So you'll know. Now, if you get a not secure website, that does not necessarily mean you should run screaming. But what it does mean is that you don't want to put anything up there you don't want people to know. So if you're at an unsecure website, you don't want to put IDs, passwords, credit card information, keep that stuff off of there unless you see that S. All right, so let me get rid of this. And I'm going to try another capture here. Going to start my Wireshark. And what I'm going to do is just go back to this. And I'm going to reload all of these. Okay, I've got this restaurant. I've got Shopify. This is one where you can build websites. It's also insecure. I found a couple of great sites where they have to do with biology. So they're sharing pictures of oddball animals. This one is about echinoderms. I'm not entirely sure. I think they're like sand dollars and starfish. All right. So all of that now should be captured. So once again, if we look at our stats, you see this is about 15,000 of them in 26 seconds. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to try that same HTTP filter that I did before that didn't work. But because they're unencrypted, we should see a whole ton of them now. Okay. So those are sites that don't hide anything. You can get to that information. So I can click on one of these. For example, I'll click on this one right here. And you can go down to the middle window and it's going to show you what's on that site. Let's see if I can find some of these. You should probably see actual code. I'm going to see if I can find one with that. It's not coming up obviously here. Well, you could, you can poke around in these. So here's GeoMerchant. Let's see. There's some of the code. This is HTML. That's what a web page is made of, and you read it. But it's a little bit easier to insert stuff into a page like this, okay? Because nothing's encrypted. Everything comes over in plain text, and anyone with a tool like the one I'm using can capture it. So hopefully you're starting to get a little flavor of the problem with security and why there are so many breaches. Every month, somebody somewhere has broken into a credit card database or hacked a website or gotten everybody's user IDs and passwords for some, shopping location or something like that. But let's talk about something even a little bit more sinister here. So I'm going to now do one more little demo quickly here, which is there is a utility which is called FTP, okay? Now FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. And by the way, anytime you see a P at the end of these things in networking, they're always protocol. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol and File Transfer Protocol and Transmission Control Protocol, lots of those. Remember, those are the rule sets. So FTP is actually popular. It's File Transfer Protocol, and it's how you move files from one computer to another. It's been around for a very long time. I have an FTP site set up, and I'm going to log into it right now, and you're going to get to see what happens, okay? By the way, FTP is really popular for putting information onto websites. So if I host a website and I want to get files from my computer up to that website, this is how I would generally do it. So let's go ahead and log in. I'm going to say connect, okay? Now I want you to watch this because I've got my host. That's where my FTP site is. I have my username, which is analyst, okay? And now I'm going to type my password in. You will not see the password, of course, while you type it, as is standard. But before I get this going here, I'm going to start my Wireshark capture. I'll say continue. All right, I'm going to clear out the filter. So let's go ahead and log in. I'm going to type my password. And I will say connect. We'll see if it works. You'll see some data moving here. So now on the left side of the screen, that's my home computer. Those are all the directories. And on the right side, I have connected into the remote FTP site. You can see there's one file here called phones, and I can bring it, I can view it. We'll bring it up in Notepad, okay? And I can put more up there, or I can get more from there. So now, let's go back to our Wireshark, and I will stop the capture. And this time I'm going to do a filter just for FTP. So we're going to look at that transaction that we just did. Okay. So now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of it. It's not a huge number of transactions, but down at the bottom here, you can kind of see where I entered into the server. Okay. It says that I have requested this phones.txt right there. All right. It accepted that, successfully transferred the file. Okay. And I can look at any of these if I want to, but here's the really interesting part. I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to show you when I logged in. So this is where I connected. There's line 1, the first line of the FTP. Says that it requested a user ID and I put in analyst. Okay, so then it said, yeah, analyst, you're on our system. You're legit. Tell us your password. And I did. What do you see on that 4th line there? Anything that might be problematic? That is my password.
I see your password.
In Mr. Maddock, right on cue. Thank you. Yeah, in plain text for the whole world to see. That's not cool, right? So now y'all know my password to my FTP site. But what's interesting about this too is when you go to a website or commerce site or whatever, and you're creating a password, what do they always tell you? They say uppercase, lowercase, special characters, and numbers. That makes a super secure password, right? If you have all those. Well, I do. I have an uppercase, I have lowercase, I have a special character, and I have a number. But none of that means anything if it is displayed to you and the world, and anyone that has access to the wires on your system could potentially get a hold of this. Anybody that has access to the path between yourself and the server that you're going to. So hopefully you're kind of starting to get a feel for the problem. Every day on every network, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of transactions, and so many ways for bad actors and hackers and bad people to try to get in there. And so what do you do to stop that? Well, that's what we teach. I'm going to go ahead and log out of the site here and show you a little bit about my program. So we also, much like Mrs. Heideck's, we work towards certifications. So we have one called Networking Fundamentals, which is Microsoft Technology Associate, MTA. Security certifications through Microsoft. There's another agency called CompTIA that is very big certifying body. And you can then get cybersecurity certifications through CompTIA, Cisco, which is a really big player in the cybersecurity market, or other organizations. And then we have some logos here showing the Microsoft, the CompTIA, and the Cisco, the companies that we deal with. If you get these certifications, what's really great about them is that they are national certifications. They are not made by Oakland schools. They are made by third-party companies. They are very tightly controlled, and if you pass them, you can take that information to a potential employer, and it gives you a huge advantage over someone that doesn't have them, because the employer knows you have gone through that process and you know what you're talking about. And I have proof, because 2 of my students from last year, these are Ben and Charles. Ben and Charles went through my program. They did an internship with Oakland schools, and they were hired into the technical services department right out of high school. That is a pretty cool thing. So at the age of, they're both 18 years old. They're both working as technical assistants, and there's lots of room for them to grow as long as they continue to learn and update their skills. Pretty much the sky's the limit. So it is really my greatest hope that a lot of you who are watching tonight will think, hey, this is kind of cool, and maybe I'll see you next year or the year after. And I do appreciate your attention. At this point, I will turn it back over to Mr. Maddock.
Very interesting demonstration there regarding the cybersecurity program. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Galbinski now to introduce our final teacher for the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Maddock. So one of the things that we're very proud of is all of our instructors. You can see and hear their passion for what they're wanting to teach students. That was recognized in our engineering, robotics, mechatronics, machining, and welding programs. In 2019, the Michigan Department of Education, Office of Career and Technical Education recognized Career and College Readiness Excellence in Practice Award. And you're going to hear from one of these instructors tonight, Mr. Demetrius Wilson, who's going to be talking about the engineering, robotics, mechatronics program. So you can see as we go through, certainly proud of their accomplishments, recognized statewide as one of the top programs. And again, the career tree, when you look at that entry-level careers for the mechatronics, what you can do when you finish the program, technical careers, a little bit more training, and then obviously professional careers, a little bit more, but you can see the types of things that you can do here, leaving the campus and then moving forward. And so, Mr. Wilson, I'll turn it over to you, and you'll be able to engage our guests with engineering, robotics, and mechatronics. Mr. Wilson, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Wilson. Unfortunately, my co-worker, Mr. Byer, cannot be with us today, but when you were looking at that picture, he was the guy on the far left of us, and he regrets he couldn't be here. I've been in education, wow, and I think it is 30 years. This is my 30th year. What that accounts for the gray hair. I looked at some of my older pictures and I said, wow, things have changed. But I'm gonna share my screen with you. I wanted to kind of give you a scope of what it is to be a student, you know, the equipment that you'll be touching in our department. So I'm gonna show you a video. Now, it's not a Hollywood production, and I did it today, and I realized I didn't orientate my camera the right way, but I think it still will give you a taste of what it is to be a student in our department.
Welcome to the Engineering, Robotics, and Mechatronics program. Let's take a tour. We are now in the Engineering, Robotics, and Mechatronics program. The program behind those doors is our welding program. So here is your CAD room. Pretty much loaded with computers. The software we use is SolidWorks. And here's our 3D printer. Let me tell you, students have created some really, really cool stuff off that printer. So you can print something or design something in CAD and transfer that file to the 3D printer for printing. Pretty big room, isn't it? We'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is the microelectric competition that we compete in every year. Here are two teams. Here are the project boards, basically showing the engineering design process. We've been very successful in this competition, placing in the top 3 for the last 10 years plus. And what's really interesting about that is the fact that a lot of the schools we're going against, this is their project. This is their year project. Well, you'll see we have a lot to cover in a year. We don't have the luxury of making SolidWorks our primary, not SolidWorks, but the microelectric, our year project. So, you know, we only work on a car basically 7 weeks. But students appreciate the engineering design process because when they go to competition and they see how strong their cars are, with the little amount of time they had to do it and the success that they have in competition, it just validates the design process, the engineering design process. Here are the teacher stations. Of course, I have to show off one of my granddaughters. This is my first granddaughter, Bailey. She's now 4. I think it's time to update the pictures. I now have 2 granddaughters in addition to Bailey. And their name is Nova and Kennedy. Kennedy is only 2 months old. So here is the lab area. See, we have a lot of really cool pieces of equipment, right? And you're going to touch all of them. This is a ladder logic diagram. You can understand why taking a tech ed program is considered a foreign language, right? Because if you never saw this before, that's what it would look like to you. Like a foreign language, wouldn't it? But as complicated as the circuit looks, it's not complicated at all. Trust me. Here's that circuit. Basically, you're integrating pneumatics with industrial control. The red light indicates that power is there, and I'm going to hit the start button and we'll see what happens. In order to stop it, I have to hit the stop button. I'm swing around here slowly so that you guys don't get dizzy. This is our fanny. Not a Lego robot, this is the real deal. So if you can program this robot, you can program any robot you choose. I mean, it could be as big as this room. The pendant that you use is the same pendant that you would use in industry. We have a laser curtain, so if a student accidentally stick their hand in for safety reason, it would disable the robot. If this is a program, it's running kind of slow. We can run this thing really, really fast if we want to. We can run it as slow as we want to. But once again, FANUC. Pretty much FANUCs are being used by everyone out in industry. So to walk away and saying that you know how to program this robot is pretty impressive. This is our spaceship. Well, it's actually a Mechatronics station, but the students call it the spaceship. And the reason they call it that is because of how technical it looks, right? Look at all the technology. When students usually come through here, they look at this, they like, there's no way in the world I'll ever be able to do this. And you know what? That's not true. You absolutely will be able to do this. Once you learn all the segments, you learn about PLCs, you learn about sensors, electrical, robot programming, mechanical systems, right? You'll be able to look through different lenses. Once you learn those things, you'll realize just how simple this machine is, but it's very complex. But because you have now are empowered with knowledge, you are able to look at it from a different point of view. So we'll run this real quick so you can see it run. Kind of got that at a bad angle, but you get the point. Ford actually uses this machine to train their technicians. Think about that. This is our hydraulic system. We have low voltage, industrial controls, and I'll walk you over to the high voltage. This is a really cool piece of equipment we just recently purchased. This is our linesman trainer, or power line trainer. DTE actually purchased one of these to train their linesmen. Once again, think about that. Here it is, you're in high school and you're touching all these pieces of equipment that are being used in industry to train their employees. This is the advanced industrial electrical 3-phase. I think I have the key here. Obviously, lockout, tagout is very important for safety purposes. And you hit the start button, and she spins. Hit the stop button, she stops. These are our CNCs. We have the huge one here that allows us to do much bigger projects. We have the smaller one here as well for smaller projects. This is a lecture room. If you're a physics student, you'll spend a lot of time in this room with Mr. Byer. He teaches physics for those that are interested in taking a physics credit. But we use this room. This is a multi-purpose room. And this is another lab area. We have our soldering station, our bench tops here for doing projects. And we have our PLC. Siemens, this is HMI, which basically means human machine interface. And this is something you'll learn as well. Look, I just wanted to give you a brief tour of our facility so you get an idea of the types of things that some of the things you will be, pieces of equipment you'll be working with. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Well, I hope you were able to enjoy that. Like I said, it wasn't a Hollywood production, but it kind of gave you a sense of the type of equipment we have in our program. Paul, is it possible for you? Thank you. So I want to talk about the culture of our program. First, you must have fun. You must have fun when you come here. We are a family. You know, we are in this together. We have students that mentor, second-year students. It's mandatory that they mentor students, and they don't have a problem with it because guess what? They were mentored. No, we look out for one another. No one gets left behind. And think about this, do-overs. Who lets you do something over and over again until you get it right? We do. Why? Because we want you to make sure that you get it. You know, think about this. Would you want to be on a plane with a pilot that passed with a C? If you knew he was a C student? Think about that. I don't think I'll get on that plane. So our minimum requirement is 80, above average, 80 or higher. And we'll allow you to do it until you get that 80%. We want you to get it. Also, your feedback. You know, what's made this program great, and as Mr. Galbinski mentioned, we won the state award, is because of students. We really believe you know what you need best. So we encourage it, right? We encourage your feedback. We want to know, how can we make this program better for you? Your voice matters. Also, we embrace diversity, all walks of life. You know, when we're in this classroom, we are a family. We all bleed red, right? No one looks down on another person. It is not allowed in this program. So here are some of the highlights that we're kind of proud of. We were 2015 Outstanding Career and Technical Education. Let me move this out of my way here so I can see. A program in Oakland County Award winner. 2019, Mr. Galbinski talked about it. We won the Michigan Career and College Readiness Initiative Excellence Award from the Michigan Department of Education. 2020, Harbor Freight Tools for School Teaching Excellence. We were a national prize winner in that competition. Also, we've had 30 students be accepted into the Max Square program. A little bit about the Max Square program. It's basically a 5-year program. You go to OCC for 3 years. You get your associate at no cost to you. You're being paid to go to school. While you're in class, they're actually giving you a paycheck. Think about that. No one ever paid me to go to school. You're getting paid to be in class, no cost to you. And when you're done, the lowest I've seen a student make is $23. I've seen a student make as high as $30 after they got their associate's degree. Just amazing, right? Just amazing. This has basically, because of this 30 students being put into this program, $2.25 million have been invested in our students by both local and global companies. We also offer a high school physics credit to second-year students, which I talked about in the video, and we also offer a technical physics credit to first-year students. And you see why. I mean, look at all this, technology in this classroom. Here are some of the companies that our students have been hired by. You can see, and this is just a small fraction. Some of these are local, some of these are national, some of these are international companies. Our students do very well. They love our students. And so here are some of the certs that we give. You can get CSWA from SolidWorks, FANUC certification. We also give ISCET, which is not pictured here, which stands for the International Society of Electronic Engineering Technology Technicians, if I can get that right. Too many acronyms. But those are some of the certs that you can get in this classroom. So with that, I'll turn it over, I think, to who's ever going to be talking next.
Yes, all right. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. So you've had an opportunity to hear from Mrs. Hyduck, our computer programming teacher, Mr. Teller from Cybersecurity Networking, and then Mr. Wilson from the Engineering, Robotics, and Mechatronics program. We're going to wrap things up with a little bit of information here, and then we'll open it up for some questions. But all three programs that we highlighted tonight are part of what's called, or are part of the Oakland Technical Early College Program. So what does that mean, to be part of the Oakland Technical Early College Program? Basically, that means that students have an opportunity to go to Oakland Community College, no money out of pocket, and earn their associate degree in one of these areas. So how does that work? As an 11th grader, students are taking classes at their high school, just like they normally would. They'd come to the technical campus, just like they normally would. But then as a junior, they start taking OCC classes, just one class, typically in the evening, but that one class does count toward an associate degree. And they do that each semester of their 11th grade year. Students move on to 12th grade. They return to the technical campus for the second year of their program. Students may or may not be taking any classes at their high school. Once in a while, students are able to finish up their high school remaining requirements at OCC, like their government class or their senior English class. So students may or may not be taking any classes at their high school, and they've increased the number of classes that they're taking at Oakland Community College. Now, instead of just one, they're taking 2 or 3 classes each semester. 1 year following their 12th grade, and we do call it 13th grade, students do not attend their high school at all. They don't attend the technical campus at all. They're now a full-time student at Oakland Community College. And again, the goal is to complete their degree requirements at the end of that 13th grade. But again, you see there at the bottom of the screen, no money out of pocket. The Oakland Technical Early College Program covers tuition, it covers fees, it covers textbooks, any costs that are typically paid for from students' pockets are included in the Oakland Technical Early College Program. Now that's something separate. Students do not have to participate in that. It's just an added, an additional opportunity for students in those programs. Who comes to the technical campus? Basically, the bulk of our student body are from the 5 school districts that are on your screen. We've got students from Avondale, Lake Orion, Oxford, Pontiac, and Rochester. So those are the 5 large school districts in the area. However, we do have a number of homeschooled students, private school students, and charter school students as well in all of our classes. So in a class of 30 students, they will be coming from maybe 12 different high schools, making new friends. And again, students in the class, all that have a common interest, similar goals for after high school. Our classes are 2.5-hour blocks. Students can start their day at the technical campus from 7:45 to 10:15, and then return to their high school for their afternoon classes. Or students start their day out at their high school and come to us in the afternoon from 11:20 to 1:50. Students are still out of school in time to participate in after-school activities, extracurricular activities at their school. Your district may or may not provide bus transportation to the technical campus. If you are from one of those local districts, Avondale, Lake Orion, Oxford, Pontiac, Rochester, those districts do send a bus daily to the tech campus. Because as Mr. Galbinski said, we're just an extension of those high schools. We're just filling in elective credits on the student schedule. The grade that the student earns at the technical campus goes on their high school transcript, and the credits that are earned at the technical campus count toward their high school diploma from their respective district. So part of the reason we hold these evening events, we want to enroll the right student in the right program for the right reason. Coming this evening and learning about each of those programs is what's very important in making decisions. So if something sparked your interest tonight, or if you've known that you've wanted to attend the technical campus all along, the online application is available at our website, www.ostconline.com. You scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see a box there that says apply for 21-22 school year. You'll get a big blue apply now box on the next screen, and that will take you through step by step on completing the application. This does not commit you to anything. This simply allows us to know that you're interested, and then your high school counselor also gets this in their portal just to let them know that you're interested in learning more about the technical campus as well. So when you pick your classes for next school year, they will have this knowledge that you're interested in the technical campus. And again, as we said at the beginning of the evening, every Thursday night for the next several weeks at 6 o'clock, we'll be having additional information nights. You're invited to attend any or all of these events. And again, the goal is to learn about each one of these programs. So students, you're choosing the program that you believe is the right program for you. Obviously, parents and guardians, we want you involved in this process as well to make sure that that dialogue is taking place at home. Finally, my email and Mr. Galbinski's email addresses and telephone numbers are on the screen here. You're welcome to email or call us if you do have any questions. But at this time, I'm going to turn things back over to Mr. Galbinski as our campus dean, and he can wrap things up, and we'll try to answer any questions that students may have. So, Mr. Galbinski.
Thank you, Mr. Maddock. There was a chat in here from Maria. Thank you, Maria. Can people outside of those schools also attend this? So to answer that question, if you happen to be joining us, and let's just say you are from a South district, then you would go to the Royal Oak campus for these very similar programs. If you're from Clarkston High School, you would then attend the Clarkston campus. So those are some of the ways that the county is divided up by quadrant. If you live or are part of the districts that Mr. Maddock listed for the Northeast quadrant, Avondale, Lake Orion, Oxford, Pontiac, and Rochester, you would come to this campus. Hopefully that answers your question. Another question in the chat. And a great question, Maria, that you are able to also check with your homeschool counselor. They would be able to helping provide you some further information regarding this. We've got somebody saying that they're not going to be available to junior year. Can I come my senior year only? Yes. Isaac, you can come to the campus for just your senior year. That is an option for you. Good question. Early college, do they select only one track subject? Can they select two different tracks so the 11th or 12th grade? I'll have Mr. Maddock answer that one.
Yeah, so once in a while, Mrs. Hyduck made reference to her student, Mary Holt, who spent a year in computer programming and a year this year in computer networking. So a student like that, some of the classes at Oakland Community College do overlap, where a student could do both of those different programs over their 11th and 12th grade year. However, if you're in one of the other technical areas where there may not be the common courses between early college programs, those students typically do spend both years in just one of the OSTC programs.
Thank you, Mr. Maddock. There's a question, will the recording of this be available? Is there a link to the slideshow? Our goal is to work with this, get it edited so that you have the content that is there, and get it posted on our website so that you would then be able to come back to the website and see this particular virtual career night highlighting these three programs. So that will be forthcoming. It won't be immediately, but if there is some information that you need immediately, please feel free to contact Mr. Maddock or myself, and we'll try to get you the information, but that is our goal. There's a question, are counselors available to assist in guiding in a career path? Absolutely. Counselors at the home high school, as well as Mr. Maddock would be able to answer any of the questions. And more in particular, when we get into this, our instructors are also valuable resources. But my first point would be, if you felt like you want to start with Mr. Maddock to get some more in-depth piece, he works with all the sending school district counselors, and then that way you'll be able to get some more very specific answers that you have for your questions, and also then help a student guiding them on their career path. That's a great question. So are we going to come here or are we staying home? Well, we are actually have spent the entire first card marking this past start schooling year since September virtually. Starting November 2nd on Monday, we will be bringing back cohorts of students from the districts here on the campus in a hybrid schedule. What next year will look like, I don't know. Hopefully our goal would be is that we are back and we are on campus full time. Can this give us college credit when we are still in high school? Great question. Mr. Maddock?
Yeah, so even for students that don't participate in the technical early college program, yes, there is college credit available. Mrs. Hyduck spoke about those certifications that are available in computer programming. Mr. Teller spoke about his certifications. Mr. Wilson talked about his. So even for students that aren't part of the Oakland Technical Early College program, there are college credits available based on the grade that you earn at the technical campus and earning those certifications. Those can equate to college credits. Another question is asking about 10th graders, if 10th graders can attend the campus, or do you have to be 11th or 12th? Most of our students are 11th and 12th graders. There are some schools that do allow a 10th grade student to attend. It's not very common, but it isn't unheard of either. And oftentimes, we have had 10th graders before that would do a couple years of one program and then would be able to do another year of another program. So obviously there are additional opportunities for 10th graders. But again, that would be worked on through your high school based on your classes that you still need. Another question, if a student's interested in a program only offered at a different campus. So we only highlighted the 12 programs that are available at the Northeast campus, which is in Pontiac. The Northwest campus does have a couple other programs that we do not offer. And yes, students can go up to the Clarkston campus and enroll in those programs. Oftentimes, you do have to provide your own transportation up to Clarkston. However, I know Lake Erie and Rochester, they do provide a bus up to Clarkston as well. I'm just looking down here. Mr. Teller, this one might be something for you. If I enter the Cybersecurity Networking program in 11th grade, can I return for 12th grade and work in the field while earning credits toward graduation? So I know you've got some students that participate in work-based learning. Do you want to give a brief description of what your students have done in the past?
Yes, so that is a definite possibility. Most of the work-based learning opportunities that we have right now are suspended because of the pandemic. We're not really sure at this point when they will come back, but I would certainly hope by a year from now that they would be available. So if you come to me to the in the 11th grade and then the following year, and you could work some of the days that you would normally come to class, but you would still have to come to class. None of our work-based learning opportunities are 100% replacing your classroom time, because you do have to be in there still continuing to learn. In general, most of the work-based learning opportunities are 2 to 3 days a week, and then the remaining days you would come back to class. But in general, the answer to your question is yes.
All right, thank you. I think I got through all of the questions between Mr. Galbinski and I that were in the chat. Mr. Galbinski, anything else you want to add before wrapping up the evening?
No, I just wanted to just take a moment to see if anybody had a specific question for any of our three instructors. Mr. Teller was able to answer that one. I wanted to give people, while they're still here for a few moments, if they had a question for Mrs. Hyduck regarding computer programming. I'm not sure if everybody caught one of her answers that was in the chat, because it's very, very important. Goes back to college credit when we're in high school. Mrs. Hyduck did say in her class, if you pass the search, you can get credit. So we have here all of these certifications that you learned about, stacking credentials to give you that competitive edge. That is one way that you can earn credit. And Mr. Teller, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hyduck talked about, and it's true for any of these programs, the certs that we talked about tonight, they're all free. They don't cost you a penny. And that's the beauty of it, just like Mr. Maddock was talking about Oakland Technical Early College. So lots of great opportunities. I just,
Paul?
Yes, take a moment for our instructors.
I just want to be, I want to be open and honest about school to work from the programming area. We do once in a while get opportunities for school to work, but a lot of times due to non-disclosure agreements and working with systems, you're usually working with a lot of customer data. Under the age of 18, it's very difficult to get, to allow people to come in for security reasons to work with programming. But however, you do get examples of that program where Mary's going to be able to show that program at a high caliber level to an employer. And when she does turn 18, for sure, she's going to be considered for opportunities, whether it's going into internships and things like that. She's going to have an upper edge just because she has the material that is functioning and working. So I just wanted to make sure you guys understood that portion of it.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Hyduck. Thank you. I don't see any more in the chat. One of the things that we do encourage you to do, if you did not before through the program, if you are able to, before you leave, I just put in there a sign-in sheet for us if you haven't done that already. I want to thank Mr. Maddock for guiding us on our virtual tour. I want to thank our three instructors that highlighted their programs. I think you got some really opportunity to see the passion they have for the program, the opportunities that you have for your program, and many of the comments in the chat were like, wow, this is so cool. How am I able to do this? Can I sign up? That's exactly what tonight was about, was to pique your interest. Certainly follow up with us if there's anything that we're able to do. for you to get you that information as you do some career exploration. But please know that you saw from the level of work that is here, the dedication and the knowledge of our instructors, this is a great place to be and great opportunities. And coming to the campus is definitely a force multiplier for you, provides you many, 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 many options to take a look at. And every single one of the instructors you heard from tonight, they all came from industry. They gave you a little bit of a background and experience that they had. They've married those two together. They're now here to share that wealth of knowledge with you and get you on your career path so that you're able to be in an area that you enjoy. The last thing that I just want to put up there is Mr. Maddock has the remaining nights for us. So if there's, again, you want to hang out with us every Thursday night as listed here, except for Thanksgiving, you're more than welcome. We will have a different set of instructors on our next one on November 5th, our automotive technology collision repair. But we want to thank each and every one of you that attended tonight. Please reach out to us if there's anything that we can do. And if we could, I know nobody can see this, but I'm gonna give a round of applause for all of you for being here tonight, spending time with us for our very first virtual career night. And we thank you for being part of that. And again, thank you to our instructors for their time and their knowledge, sharing it with you. And more importantly, thank you parents, thank you students for your interest in the campus. And we hope to see you sometime soon.